Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday night right here on the Sports Krib. I hope everyone's doing fine. The weather's nice out here in California as usual. I see Dave is here, Bill is here, Demetrius is here. The whole gang. Well, I got half the Black Sox here, so I'm good. Let's get the guys up here and get this show on the road. Dave, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting ready to head up to Pittsburgh for the game this weekend.
Okay. Demetrius, what's going on over there in the Windy City?
It is, in fact, the Windy. it remembered that it's October, and it reminded us. I think Bill will agree that when it's time to act like Chicago, Chicago acts like Chicago.
I can't wait till San Diego starts acting like San Diego. Should be around about December 23rd.
Wow.
So, hey, don't knock sunshine on both of the streets on Christmas. Huh? You know.
I'm a Midwest kid. I'm good. Y'all can keep that nonsense out.
Yeah, well, after you've been here 20 years, you know, it kind of works its way up on you, you know. Bill, how's it going there?
A lot has happened. A lot has happening. But yes, I probably have to leave a little bit early tonight, but it's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, hey, that's
a pleasure to have you, bro.
You know, and Dave is, has to leave at 7:30, so we'll try to, you know, I mean, maybe me and Demetrius will have to sign off, but hey. So let's. I don't have Bill here, so we're gonna. Bill, you might know a little bit about this WNBA thing. What's happening with the WNBA?
So the WNBA would make such a fantastic reality TV show. And frankly, they're sitting on a gold mine. They really are. Call me, WNBA. I can help you. So how much do you want to know about Ms. Collier and Ms. Englehart's lack of meeting of the minds, the rapprochement and the failure of the détente? One of the top players in the league has essentially called for a one-woman vote of no confidence, for lack of putting it, on the commissioner of the WNBA. And ironically, she seems to have the commissioner outgunned. So if I was a betting person, and maybe I am, the person who I think will still be employed by the WNBA come this time next year, in fact, even earlier, my money's on Miss Collier.
Yep.
You know, it seemed like, you know, the WNBA had gained momentum. Fans were starting to look at it. I mean, you know, you had for the last couple of years, you had some very good rivalries coming up. I mean,
Yep.
It looked like it was going to be a financial success.
If they were smart, this would be part of it, right? I mean, as I said before, this could be tremendous box office if you knew how to spin it correctly. I mean, the NFL takes every controversy and makes money off of it. Now, maybe not intentionally, but they somehow blunder their way, no matter how. Whenever something, you know, seemingly controversial or even something that's flat out awful happens, the NBA, the NFL is the master of like spin. The NBA takes its various and sundry controversies and, you know, who doesn't like who and whatever, and makes big stuff out of it. Like, they don't downplay these things in the NBA. The WNBA shouldn't either. They should say, oh, yes, this is big. You should all be covering it. This is the biggest thing ever to happen in life, right? They should be playing this up. This should be in a rotation cycle. They should
we'll see. I mean,
they should have a camera and a microphone in front of both parties as often as possible.
Well, for context, collective bargaining starts in 3 weeks, right? Right. For full context, that's what's happening. I think Bill's on to something. I'm not sure this isn't all orchestrated, because what Nafisa Collier did, unprecedented. Got in front of the mic, called the commissioner out by name, and aired a list of grievances. I mean, to be honest with you, she talked about bad officiating. She talked about media rights deals. She talked about accountability and injuries, fines, and mostly player comp. Right? At the end of the day, is about player compensation. And in a league where, and Bill will correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of guessing. I believe in the NFL, players get 49.5% of football revenue.
I think it's a little bit less than that.
It's less than that. Okay.
But it's like 47, 48%. Right.
I think 48 point something this year.
In the NBA, I think it's more than 50 in the NBA. It might be 51 or something in the NBA.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
The WNBA, I'm curious if Bill knows. He probably already knows. The WNBA players get 9%. That is insane. Oh my God. So he just called her out for all of it. To Bill's point, would be a great show. I don't know why they didn't sell this to Netflix. You can do receivers and quarterbacks. This was a show that was made for a Netflix 8-part documentary. But to me, the thing is, we talk a lot about sports. We talk, Bill and I in particular, talk about, and David as well, history and like stuff that people did. You guys know I have 15 Muhammad Ali t-shirts because I believe 1967 Cassius Clay was unbeatable, but he took a stance, whether you believe in his stance or not. What he did was he sacrificed. Being the heavyweight champion of the world was a big deal in 1968. It was one of the most prestigious things you could be, and he sacrificed 3 years of money and all of these things he sacrificed. I am a fan of that person who sacrifices. Nafisa Collier could in fact be one of the best 3 or 4 players in that league. And she stood out there and said, I'm going to take this bullet, if it is in fact a bullet, and it shouldn't be, but I'm going to do it. And by all accounts, she wasn't prompted. There wasn't Jim Brown and Kareem weren't standing behind her, right? Like the famous picture some of us know. And she read it off. Called for this lady's job. We got to do better. It was such a bold move. 5 years from now, we will probably look back and go, that moment where Nafisa Collier had that press conference changed that league. I hope so, because if it doesn't, that league might not be around. They got the NBA behind them.
Yeah, like I said, it seemed to be a kind of interesting story, and I was just, kind of wondering what it was all about. But speaking of things, what it's all about, it seems like your Tigers came back today and tied it up. Demetrius?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, baseball, you know me in baseball, right? Baseball is a game, man. It's just, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of time because the guys got to go early and we can get to football. It's this simple. There is a difference in playoff baseball, right? And it is so exciting. And my team had played 6 weeks of really shitty baseball, and we scraped our way through Cleveland, and we just weren't hitting. And there was a time where I, on this podcast, told you guys my team might be the best team in all of baseball. It's been so long since I said that. Right? And then today, the 5th inning was like this epiphany moment where they woke up and they reminded me and a whole bunch of people in Detroit, Michigan, or outside of Detroit, Michigan, that root for them, and they just exploded, right? And now I've consistently said one thing about this team all year. I got Tarek Skubal and you don't. That's it. We got a winner-take-all game 5 Friday night in Seattle, and I got Tarek Skubal and you don't. That's where I am. If Bo was here, I would say, Bo, you're my guy. We can still be friends. And I got Tarek Skubal and you don't. And that's where I feel right now. We'll talk next week and see how it goes.
But don't you have that guy named Raleigh, though?
Bill, anybody, who you taking? Winner take all, one game. You can have Cal Raleigh bat 3 or 4 times, or you can have Tarek Skubal on the mound throwing, 100 pitches if he has to. My philosophy on this team has been the same all year. I got Tarek Skubal and you don't. And that's where we are right now. Friday night, I got Scoop.
Who you got, Dave?
I really don't know because I just haven't been following it. Once the Pirates were out such a long time ago,
So you're
hard
saying by the end of June you were done, Dave?
You walked into that, Dave. You walked right into that, bro. Sorry.
It's
Bill,
fair. It's fair.
it seems like your Cubbies are doing pretty good too.
Oh no! I'm a White Sox fan.
He's not a Cub guy.
I think I'm required to say long suffering. I'm a long suffering White Sox fan. I think that's how it works. But I've had a whole rant about why I'm not a Cubs fan. But yes, the Cubs are in a good position to contend. Blah blah blah. Are they better than the Dodgers? No. But weird things happen in baseball postseason, right? We've all seen teams that we kind of said, oh, they're a cute little story, and then they, pitch it, as he pointed out. If you've got three pitchers that get hot at about the same time, a team that you didn't think much of can suddenly just go on a run and beat better teams. It happens often in baseball.
Yeah, it does. Let's see. Jeffrey should be here in a little bit, so we can kind of get started on this a little bit. Bill, I'm going to kind of start with you here, man. We talked about the Buckeyes last week, and a lot of people are saying that this Buckeye team is a lot better than last year's team.
Well, I would object to the word a lot.
I mean,
here's what I would say.
Has the team made a fourth down on that defense yet?
Right. That's what I was going to clarify. They are better on defense. Their offense is not as good as It's not yet as good as last year's offense. I mean, they had two running backs last year that are better than any running back they have on the team. Two better than any time right now, at least. Now, who knows what will develop as things goes on. They have Jeremiah Smith again, who is, if you talk to scouts, and I do, he's essentially seen as a combination of like Chris Carter and Julio Jones. He has a rare combination of skills. He would go number one overall probably if he were draft eligible. It might have done it last year, quite frankly. But so that I will also agree to. But and I like Super Saiyan as much as the next guy, but he's not as developed as what he shouldn't be as Will Howard. Will Howard was 3.5 years older, so he shouldn't be anywhere close to as developed. He's a much younger player, both in terms of playing time and just physically as a human. I like last year's offensive line better than this year's offensive line. But the defense, if you're talking specifically about defense, then yes, I will say this year's defense could potentially be better, perhaps even significantly better than last year's defense, particularly linebackers and secondary. The defensive line, I think, is probably about a wash. I think the interior is stronger this year, but the edges were stronger last year.
I would have loved to see Mr. Scott's face when they went for that fourth down. I'm sure it would have been priceless. Well, shouldn't pick on people that's not here.
Yes, but he would have had to put on a second pair of black socks for that moment.
Exactly.
Dave, Penn State, falling all the way out of the top 25. Is Franklin on the hot seat already?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is just to put it into perspective. This is the first time since 1985 that an 0-4 team has beat a top 10 opponent. And it's also the first time that Penn State's been out of the top 25 since week 2 of 2022. So 53 weeks. And it's the first time in AP poll history that the preseason number 1 team, which was Texas, and the preseason number 2 team, which was Penn State, are both unranked by early October.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So this is like a historical collapse. So Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at James Franklin's record of 4-20 against top 10 teams,
Wow.
well, now losing to a team that I believe fired their coach the week before. I think UCLA had a brand new coach.
Yep.
And to lose this game is just, it's historically bad. Historically bad. Penn State, they had 2 returning 1,000-yard rushers, and Penn State is like 52nd national. Drew Allar, he was hoping to be a first-round draft pick. Well, he was really struggling against an 0-4 team, and he really, he staged a comeback, but again, it was UCLA. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a comeback late to make it close, that this was against a ranked team. So that doesn't help. And the run defense for Penn State.
Yeah, what happened to that? I mean, before preseason, you were talking about guys that were going to be first-round draft choices.
Yeah, so really, when you look at the totality of this now, they would have to win out. They would have to beat Ohio State. That's not going to happen. This has just been a crushing defeat, and I think that I wouldn't have said it before this game. The loss to Oregon, that's one thing. Losing to UCLA the way they lost to UCLA, coming off of a close loss, it's really bad. So I would say, hot. His butt is hot.
Ironically, that loss to Oregon was the best game they've played all year.
Exactly.
That Penn State team. I thought that Penn State team was a team that might not lose another game all year, and now they're about to face Northwestern, who control from beginning to end, from the beginning of the end, the game to UCLA. They bullied UCLA. Now, Northwestern is no great shakes, but they only allowed 19.5 points per game. They're not great in anything else. They're 113th in defense on third down in the country, 46%. So it'll either be a get-right game for Penn State, or it could be the final nail in the coffin, because the one thing that Dave Braun's Northwestern team does do is run the ball and play defense. They are essentially a less talented version of Iowa, but smarter. So if you're looking for a team that is essentially a less talented but smarter version of Iowa, you found it. They play some mighty unexciting football, but they are exactly the kind of team that apparently gives Penn State fits, because they just had trouble with the UCLA team that, once again, couldn't do much against Northwestern.
Yeah, really, the only way that I could see Penn State somehow salvaging this season is that they would have to blow out the rest of their opponents and beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's the only way. Like if they squeak a lot, if they beat Northwestern 24-21, that doesn't cut it.
That's almost
just
worse.
Puts them down to their level. That shows that they should be unranked.
Right. The thing is, to me, is that I agree with Bill. Oregon, I was actually impressed with them, because Oregon is UCLA was supposed to be the get-right game, Bill. that was the get-right game. To me, the loss to UCLA is a statement about coaching. Right? It's not talent. It's a statement. That's why I see this hot. Or as Dave put it, his butt is hot. Because
probably
UCLA was supposed to be the get-right game. And the way you lost to the team you lost to is this statement about getting your guys prepared. It's a statement about coaching, right? And that's why I don't even think it's hot. I think it's a wrap. I think it's about when, not if. I think it's time. It's time for a change. 4-20 is what Dave said. 4-20
against top 10 teams.
Against top 10 teams.
Yeah,
you're not.
I don't believe that they'll fire him mid-season.
Oh no, there's 50 million reasons they're not going to fire him. That buyout is no joke. Yeah, you're right.
But he could well be gone by the end of the season.
And there's going to be a couple of ugly losses on the books by then, so they'll make it easy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bill, speaking of an ugly game, what do you think about the Oregon Indiana game?
Well, that won't be ugly.
The opposite.
Indiana. I just wrote a quick little article for my friend Donovan James, who some of you may know, for something he's doing. For those of you who are of a certain generation, it was a show on from fall of 1976 till summer of 1978 called Baa Black Sheep. And it was a fictionalized account of the Rabaul campaign through the eyes of one Greg Pappy Boyington, who was the #1 Marine Corps ace in World War II with 28 confirmed kills. Now, the reason I bring this up is his particular unit, the quote-unquote Black Sheep Squadron, was supposedly made of a bunch of like cast-offs, drunks, ne'er-do-wells, etc., right? And Boyington himself barely at times hung on to his flight worthiness, or whatever term you want to use. But they were a very effective unit. They didn't look like they should be, but somehow they were. So if you look at this team, right, some of their best players are guys that transferred up from JMU, or guys that were 1- and 2-star recruits when they came out of high school, JUCO, etc. But they are good, and they're good all over the place. Are they great any place? Probably not. I like Fernando Mendoza. He's right now about second round, like an early second round pick right now in sort of my current evaluation of him. If he starts to see it faster, that's the only thing that he doesn't have yet, like a lot of young quarterbacks. If he starts to get the ball out before a guy's open, if he starts to throw with anticipation, that turns him into a first rounder. But they're going to give Oregon some trouble. If you think they're going to just light out and Oregon's going to run roughshod over them, you don't know. It was Coach Signay said, Google me, right? Google him. It's going to be, I think the line is 22.5. I think they lose by about 18-19, but not only towards the end. I think it's close until maybe about 8 minutes, maybe a little under 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then Oregon starts to pull away.
Only 18-19. So I can get some insulin money out on this then, right? Because
I don't think they covered 22.5, which I think was the line the last I looked at. I don't see them covering that.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll see. Big Ten, of course, Big 20 now, 18, 20, whatever it is.
The big several.
Yeah, there you go. Seems like we are going to have a little more domination here, but to talk about some of the other guys that seem to be for real, did anybody get to see that game with Arch Manning?
Yeah. Now, this is how I know people are looking with John DeStaz. Did he have a couple of bad plays? Yes. And one terrible interception. One completely understandable interception. It was mostly a great call by the defense. And one, it was just poor. But he actually played fairly. I don't know what people are thinking they're going to see. Like, what do people think they're going to see? I don't understand what they thought they were going to see. He didn't play that poorly.
They wanted to see the Arch Manning that was there last week when he was running over bums and then talking trash to him. That's the Arch Manning they
want to see his granddaddy, and he ain't his granddaddy, and he's definitely not his uncle. Let the kid be the kid. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the problem is that they've hyped him to be that.
Right.
He's been hyped that way.
Before he got to Texas, we were all talking about, oh man, they got the great, Arch Manning, future Heisman Trophy winner. Is he going to come out this year? Is he going to be one and done? Yeah, he might be one and done, but not
done. Not done the way you thought he was done, right?
He'll be back next year and he'll be better next year. Like, I don't understand what people. He's now about halfway through a season's worth of passes. About halfway, right? If you put last year and this year together, he's slightly over half a season's worth of passes. I don't understand. Once again, let's revisit this in a year. And if he hasn't made progress, then we can call him a bust. But it's just too early.
I didn't call him a bust. I just said he, like Dave was saying. Dave, you can go ahead and continue that point. The hype.
Well, I was just saying that they were hyping him, and it's his group that's hyping him because that's value. Is they were projecting him as to be so great, and it's like the big question about whether he would be coming out of the draft this year or next year, and that's a lot of pressure to put on a young guy. But I agree with Bill. It's like, okay, let's wait and see. I think it's probably a good idea for him to stay for another year.
He said that.
Yeah. Who sits for 2 years to play for one? I mean, the math isn't mathing.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they were letting out. I think was it his grandfather or father? Somebody had mentioned something about him maybe coming out.
Well,
and then he was like, "Well, no, I didn't necessarily say that."
It was the other one. The media was saying, the media was saying he'll come out after 1 year, and then Archie, his grandfather, said, "No, he's staying. He ain't going nowhere." Because Archie knows what he knows, and we didn't. And then they asked him about it. He was like, "My grandfather just be out here acting like a grandfather. Don't listen to him." So then people took that to mean like, "Oh, maybe he'll come out." And the reality is, the league will dictate. If you're not ready, guys like Bill Carroll will tell you, "Bro, you ain't ready. I do this for a living. You ain't ready." And he'll be fine. He'll be fine next year. It's weird that we're trying to rush this because of his last name. He's not either one of his uncles, and he's definitely not his granddaddy. Just let him be him, and he will be fine.
Let his family be him too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if he was Arch Smith, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Exactly. Well spoken. Well.
Yeah. So, Bill, who are some of the Heisman hopefuls this season?
Well,
now that Arch has been eliminated.
Yeah, well, Arch should have never been mentioned. The guy I had preseason, I'm feeling pretty smart about it now, was Dante Moore. That was my guy. I told people to bet on Dante Moore even before the season began.
Yeah.
And if he closes out the season the way he's gotten to this point, worst case scenario, he's one of the finalists there in New York. John Mateer, unfortunately, took him, the injury took him out, but he would have been right there in New York as well. If Fernando Mendoza pulls his upset,
right.
You can probably pencil him in as a finalist also. Yeah. This is the kind of year where Jeremiah Smith should at least be a finalist. Right. Frankly, he probably should, if it's the best player, and this is the, where we get into this is why when we lost, one platoon football, it started to be harder and harder to figure out who actually should win the Heisman. In the, Vic Janowitz days and the Jay Berwanger days, when guys played both ways, it was a little easier, right? Hey, you got this guy do everything. He punted, he did place kicks, he covered kicks, he played safety, he played tailback, played. So now, that guy's amazing. But the people I believe will be there when it's all said and done, they're going to have 3 quarterbacks and 1 non-quarterback. Yeah. You could kind of pencil it in the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, probably as well.
Yeah.
So the 3, once again, Dante Moore, unless something weird happens, I'm pretty certain he'll be there. Yeah. Mendoza gets his chance to make and Mr. Saiyan, right?
If Miami keeps playing well,
and
Carson Beck will be. But I think you're right. It'll be those are the guys. I like Moore, but Miami is really good, and if they keep winning. Beck will get an invite, and Smith might be that outsider. I think like guys like Nussmeier and Klubnik will still get talk, but the 4 dudes in New York, I think Bill named them. I think it makes sense to me.
Well, I think my guy from Vandy, I think he'll get an invite. I don't know,
It depends how Vandy closes out the season. If they're a 1-loss team, yeah, you're probably right. I think a second loss might push him down.
Yeah. I think it depends on who that loss is to, because so far the only loss they have is to Alabama, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about Moore is completing like 75% of his passes, and he got like 14 or 15 touchdowns already. Yeah. Mendoza's got well over 1,000, maybe 1,200 yards, and 14, 15 touchdowns himself. So for your Vandy guy, he's going to have to overcome them plus Carson Beck, right? And if like I said, a Clemson or LSU get hot, guys like Klubnik and Nussmeier are going to get.
No, I didn't say you get the trophy, but I thought he was getting like,
okay.
Yeah.
Bill's right. It'll be 3 quarterbacks and 1 token non-quarterback. That'll be it.
Yeah. Where's my guy Jeffrey here? Because I really want to talk about the ACC and what's going on there. Poor Bill Belichick finds out that it was harder to coach the Patriots, right?
That's a fact.
He might be checking out at the end of the season.
Should we do a plus-minus, Dave, on how many more games before Belichick's gone? I'm so fascinated by it. I don't even know.
Yeah, I said all along that they wanted a really old coach who was set in his ways. They already had one who knew how to recruit. I mean, like I don't understand. While I get the whole name recognition thing, it's really hard to learn that number of new tricks as an old dog.
Exactly.
If it were 1970 college football, I'd be like, okay, Belichick has a shot. Maybe even 1980 college football.
Yeah.
Possibly 1990. But college football now, it's too much. The learning curve is too great.
It's huge.
It's too hard.
Yep.
Saban got out of the game, dude. It wasn't like he was used up. He said, I can't keep up with this. This is too much for me. Saban said,
that's the thing. You decide to go into the game that Saban decided to leave. It never made sense to me. What makes you think you're going to figure this out?
Well, let's talk about a guy that stayed after Saban left. What's happening with Clemson?
Well, the same thing that's been happening with Clemson is
right.
Speaking of coaches, they're trying to play catch up.
Exactly.
It takes about, once again, it's so much easier to drive your truck into a ditch than get your truck out of a ditch. I think we've discussed this before. So 3 years ago, he drove his truck into a ditch, James.
Yep.
And it's taking till now, and they still aren't all the way out of it. Now they're at least participating in the transfer portal, but it's a little too little, a little too late. They're participating in IL, but it's a little too little, a little too late.
So far behind. That's it in a nutshell. He showed up at the party late. Everybody's got dance partners. There's dudes who are already, in their suits. And he just rolled in late, and he wasn't dressed right. And so now he at the party, he's looking around. Everybody else knows all the dance steps to the hustle. He that dude over there who ain't never done the hustle before. And they put on the Stevie Wonder song, and everybody's out there doing the electric slide. And he the dude over on the side, still trying to figure out when is he supposed to turn. And he's just so far behind. Conception, NIL and transfer portal. He's behind on all of it. Their team's way out ahead of him with structure and groups and discipline, and they know what they're doing.
UNLV has a better plan than does Clemson when it comes to this. And I'm not even saying this to like make waves. Like, this is a factual thing. They have a better structure for handling modern college football at UNLV than does Clemson.
Yep.
I think what's going to happen is at some point in the future, instead of recruiting a coach like Bill Belichick that has a sterling record and did it all himself, they may be recruiting tandems.
Yeah,
a coach with a general manager, somebody that can run the business end, because that's what college football has become.
Yep, it's here, and Dabo just didn't want to accept it. I believe his arrogance made him believe I can keep doing it the way I've been doing it, despite the obvious changes to the entire landscape of this thing that is college football. And maybe he just was being stubborn. Maybe he was being arrogant. But I think he's figured out now. It just might be way too late.
It's like dominating the buggy whip production in 1911, right?
Yeah.
We'll ask Jeffrey, because
we got the person.
Now we can talk some ACC, and we have somebody here that knows about it. So, Jeffrey, where do you want to start? Bill Belichick or Clemson?
Dabo.
Yeah, I think we do have to start with Belichick on this one because of all the stories that came out today that he could be rounding the corner on his last game here at North Carolina.
Already?
Yeah, the rumors are they were rumors coming out of Chapel Hill that they're already looking into. Oh, sorry, there's a little echo here. Looking into a buyout already for Bill Belichick, and I don't know if it would really happen, but it's being reported by a couple of North Carolina sites, and now there's like reports of players selling their tickets, which is an NCAA violation. Their tickets to the game. There's other recruiting violations that have allegedly come out. Of course, they're a disaster on the field right now, and off the field, it's been I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's been a laughing stock the whole time he's been there, with the girlfriend and the stories and just everything surrounding it has been whatever you thought the worst case scenario was going to be for Bill Belichick at North Carolina, barring some sort of like crime being committed. This is like worse than anyone could have imagined. Yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out, but it's a really ugly situation there now. Dabo and Clemson, they actually look like a decent team against North Carolina, but it's a little bit hard to tell right now if that had more to do with Clemson or had to do with the dysfunction going on at North Carolina right now. North Carolina is awful, but at least for Clemson's sake, they went out and they took care of business. Dabo, he could have really embarrassed Belichick. It was like 28-3 after the first quarter, and he pretty much put the foot off after the gas. And I think he was really trying not to embarrass North Carolina and Belichick. They might have scored 60 or 70 on him. I think it'll be a while before we can say, as Clemson kind of righted the ship. They go to Boston College this weekend, who is really struggling themselves. They lost by 40 at Pitt. They're 1-4, lost to Stanford. It's really a struggle for Bill O'Brien up there right now. So, Clemson should take care of business up there. And they come back and they host a decent SMU team, not a great one, but a decent one that could cause them some trouble with their offense. But if Clemson gets by SMU, then then I'll start to think they have a chance to maybe salvage something out of the season. But that's also been a disastrous start for Clemson. Most people weren't too up in arms after the LSU loss. Then you go on the road against Georgia Tech, late field goal there, and you hadn't hit the panic button yet. And you're like, well, Clemson can still recover, but the wheels came off against Syracuse. And I was at that game, and they got their brains beat in. I mean, there was no other way to describe it. I mean, Fran Brown had Syracuse ready to play in that game, and Clemson looked anything but prepared. And Klubnik was not ready. The quarterback, just offense, defense, just everything was not ready to even compete in that game. And maybe going on the road got them away from some of the pressures at Clemson. There's no more chance of a national championship, and virtually no chance of making the playoffs unless they were to run the table back into the ACC championship and win it, which is extremely unlikely with so many undefeated teams there. But we'll see if Dabo and the team can, kind of right the ship and at least, finish positively in the second half of the season.
Officially now, what we have the official January portal now. What's the official word on that, Jeff?
I'm not sure if it's officially went through or if they were in the final stages of it. Yeah. But I think the dates were something like January 2nd to January 16th. if you're gonna do that, I guess I don't quite understand. Why don't you just make it in February, because school's already started and you've got teams in the playoffs, and you wonder how that could affect. You know, I mean, I like the rule to move it after December. I think that's a start, but why don't you just wait until the next month if you're gonna go in the new year? Because I don't really know how it's academically related, since most schools will be started by that time. So I think it's a step in the right direction. At least it's something, but it seems to still not be every. It doesn't seem to be where they need to be in the end.
You guys got any questions for Jeff about the ACC?
Well, I wanted to ask Jeff about Pitt. I guess they went with the rookie quarterback, this Mason Heights show. Anything on is this like a move that is like, have they gone off from Eli Holstein, or was this what's happening there?
Yeah, that was. I mean, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year, I really thought Holstein was one of the, better half quarterbacks, in the ACC. Young quarterback. You think he's going to take the next step, and he just kind of fizzled out here early in the season, and the quarterback change, I mean, definitely sparked them against Boston College. I kind of thought that would be a more competitive game, and Pitt's a kind of a hard team to read, because I think they're 4-2 or 3-2, but the two losses against the loss against West Virginia was a game that they were in control of. They didn't play well in that game, but they still led by double digits late in that game, and if they just take care of business, they're probably undefeated going to Florida State this week. I think if you're Pat Narduzzi, you got to stay with the change. You're going down into Tallahassee this week, a team that's, that, they got the Alabama win, but if we're being honest here, they've lost 9 of their last 10 ACC games going back to last season, and there's not any reason that Pitt, I don't think, shouldn't think they can't go into Tallahassee and score upset. I mean, Florida State just has not been consistent enough to warrant that kind of, look to say, hey, Pitt's going to go down to Doak and then they're not going to be able to compete, because Florida State, they caught lightning in a bottle against Alabama, but I mean, they go up to Virginia and they give up a ton of yards and points in that game. Again, Miami, the score was cosmetically closer than it really was, but it was 28-3 going into the fourth quarter. So I mean, I think they're gonna stay with the quarterback change. I think Pitt has a chance to compete in that game. When I look at Pitt, it's always going to be right now. Can they hold a lead until in the fourth quarter against a decent team? That they're one of those unpredictable, dangerous teams in the ACC that they're good enough to beat you on a given day, but not consistent enough to really trust. But I think it was a really good performance against Boston College, because I thought that was going to be a fairly competitive game, and they wiped Boston College just completely out in that one.
Doesn't that also describe Syracuse?
Yeah, it does. I think one of the issues with Syracuse that might be a little bit different is they've kind of just went south after the QB injury to their quarterback, Angeli, who was playing so well. I mean, he lit up Clemson's defense, and he looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. And I'm already looking ahead to next season at Syracuse being a real threat when they get him back. But they moved to they were forced to make a change to their backup quarterback, the LSU transfer, who name just escapes me at the moment, but he's really been struggling. And you don't know if Pitt caught lightning in a bottle that day with Angeli, how their season would have looked if he could have stayed healthy. But very unfortunate that he's out for the season, because they're a completely different team without him back there. I mean, they already kind of were struggling on defense, but they were able to get by because they were starting to really move the ball on offense. I mean, they did that against Tennessee too. I mean, they moved the ball on Tennessee. They scored on Tennessee. I mean, they couldn't stop them in their secondary, but Syracuse is in kind of a dangerous spot, I think, because the season might get away from them.
Okay.
I have a
Go ahead.
couple of sort of interesting, sneaky, whatever. And I mentioned a couple of these teams when you came on my show to talk about the ACC. I was big on Duke, at least in part because I'm super high on Darian Mensah, and haven't been able to hide it. And he's played well at times, and then sometimes looked hesitant. But Duke looked good for the most part on both sides of the ball. And I was also interested, of course, in University of Virginia. Tony Elliott was a guy that entered the season on at least a warm seat, and now his seat has cooled off quite a bit. What do you think happens the rest of the season with Duke and with UVA?
I think they're both in as much contention to get to Charlotte as Georgia Tech. I mean, right now Georgia Tech is the team that's ranked in the top 15, and it's gotten most of the notoriety outside of Florida State and Miami. But I think Duke and Virginia are right there. They've got manageable schedules to get to Charlotte. Virginia in particular, with Chandler Morris and that offense. I mean, they really showed me something going to Louisville and winning, because that was kind of a prove it game. Validate that Florida State win for Louisville. It was a chance to kind of announce themselves prior to playing Miami. For them, they would have been 5-0 going to Miami, and Louisville, I would say outplayed Virginia for large portions of that game, but Virginia found a way to win. And going into the bye week, of course, like you said, Tony Elliott's job is safe. They beat Florida State with a makeshift line. I mean, they had a ton of injuries. It was funny. I was listening to, I think I said this on your show. I was listening to a national radio show when they were talking about Florida State, and they were saying, Virginia had one of the best, offensive lines that Florida State would see all year. And I was like, well, you realize that was with a makeshift group, that was down, I think 2 starters, maybe 3, I can't quite remember. And, they moved Florida State all over in that game. I think Virginia is a very real threat to get to Charlotte, and Duke. Mensah is playing extremely well. I mean, they have the 2 out of conference losses with Illinois and Tulane. Illinois was kind of a strange game because they kept turning the ball over, but they actually, the play on the field, there wasn't that much separation from them. They go on the road last week to play Cal. They fall behind 14-0, then 21-7, and then they just shut down Cal the rest of the game. And we know, JKS there at Cal, extremely talented young quarterback, but he was really confused in that game. The secondary of Duke just had him forcing the ball. He had no idea. I think he maybe thought there were like 14 Duke defenders back there. He was struggling so much. I mean, he'll have better days in the future, but Duke and Manny Diaz is a really well coached football team, and already a lot of people are picking them to beat Georgia Tech, coming off their bye week, and then they have a bye after Georgia Tech. So I mean, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Haynes King and Brent Key and that Georgia Tech team. And I do think that's a pretty strong group of 3 teams that can make a run to get to Charlotte, including Georgia Tech. Of course, Miami is the class of the conference right now, without question. And in my opinion, their resume is a resume of the number 1 team in the country. You've beaten Notre Dame, you beat a ranked South Florida team, and you beat a Florida team that just knocked off Texas, and you won in Tallahassee. And I put them right up there with Ohio State. Ohio State, I think, has the best defense in all of college football. But right now, that's like 1 and 1A, or 1A and 1B. Yeah, you get to Miami, they're on a bye week as well, and they've made it through the most difficult part of their schedule. It's really hard to see them not making the playoffs. You might upset them, but you're going to see them in the 12-team playoff.
Okay. How many ACC teams are you going to see in the playoffs? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because if you say Miami is one for sure, I think Virginia, if they run the table, they could make it, because I think if you make the ACC championship game with one loss, I still feel like the committee is not going to penalize you, out of the playoff unless you lose by like 100 or something. So I think it is very possible for Virginia to run the table. All right, Duke's probably got the 2 losses. They'd have to probably win the ACC title. Florida State is an interesting question, because they may have one of the very best wins of the season with that victory over Alabama. And then you have the loss to a ranked Virginia team and a ranked Miami team. If they run the table, which could include a win at Clemson, which may or may not be that valuable in the end, we'll see. But you also play Florida at the end of the season, and you run through the rest of your ACC schedule, and you're 10-2. Florida State, even if you don't make the ACC championship, there might be enough there, especially not losing a game for 2 months, to squeeze in there. Georgia Tech, the win over Clemson lost some value. Colorado, I don't think is as bad as what their record will be, but still, that's probably going to be a 3 or a 4 win team, maybe 5 wins, but probably not a bowl team at Colorado. So you pick up a road win there, and it's probably not as valuable. But if they do get to the Georgia game undefeated, and they're fairly competitive against Georgia, it's hard to see them being left out. They're ranked 13th right now, and the committee would probably be fairly close to what the AP poll does. They just need to keep winning. So there are 4 or 5 teams that have a shot at getting into the playoff from the ACC. I don't think you'll see that many, but I do think a second team will have a really good chance to get in, especially with, I was listening to another show on the way home today, and not Pitt, but Penn State losing, which I'm sure our Pitt fan doesn't hear mine. Losing to UCLA is kind of effectively taking them out of the playoff chase unless they run the table, and they certainly don't look like a team that can do that. That's one of the Big Ten spots that many felt like was a lock, so that may have opened up a spot for an extra team too. So yeah, in the end, Miami, I think, is already a lock, and I do think you'll see a second ACC team squeeze in there. It's just a question of who that might be.
Hey, let me get one in before we let him go. On the media rights thing, are you comfortable that we got this whole thing all settled with ESPN extending out to like 35 or 36, or are we still worried about Clemson and Florida State trying to get a new revenue distribution model, right? Rightfully so. They haven't settled the lawsuit, right? There's still in theory a lawsuit out there, or have they settled that? I haven't paid. I know that there was it's called the grant of rights or whatever it's called exactly, to redistribute the revenue based on viewing or based on something where Clemson and Florida State wanted more. Is that thing settled? Are you worried about it at all, or you think they're going to figure that out?
It is settled. Okay. Now they've actually closed the lawsuits, and what they agreed on was they did agree in the ACC to an unequal revenue distribution model based on, I think it's like the last 5 year, a rolling average of the TV ratings.
Yeah.
And with this agreement with Clemson and Florida State, ending their lawsuits, they also put a dollar figure on the grant of rights. So right now, if I remember, I think if one were to leave right now, it'd still be a pretty hefty price tag, like $150 million. And then it'll go down something like $18 million a year until 2030. which at that time, in 2030, it would be $75 million until the end of the contract, which is still, not cheap, but then becomes a lot more manageable. So I would say what it did do is bought short-term stability.
Yeah.
I don't expect anyone to leave the ACC in the next, not next year or the year after. But as you get closer to the end of the decade and the TV agreements for like the Big Ten finish up, then it's just wide open. Now, I also think that's an eternity in college athletics right now, because we don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, I also have read that the Big Ten is looking into an uneven distribution model at their next contract. I think Ohio State's kind of getting tired of all these big noon kickoffs and being the major media winner. One of them, along with some of the other major schools in the Big Ten. And who knows that if that's a wild card, because if they're uneven, then maybe your big piece of the pie in the ACC might be more than a smaller piece in the Big Ten. I don't know. I think it's wide open, and the only thing I'm really confident is that the next 2 or 3 years will be stable.
Yeah.
But as we get to 28 and 29, I mean,
30 is when Big 12 and Big 10 both get new media deals.
Right.
I don't think it's coincidental that that's exactly when both of their deals expire. So
exactly,
I think that's the next turning point on this whole thing.
I do think the ACC has to. They're going to have, if they're looking at it like, hey, we bought ourselves until 2036, then for sure it's not going to look the same, at that time. So I mean, I hope that the conference is saying, all right, we bought ourselves a couple of years of real stability, but we need to, if we want to go beyond that, we got to go work now. We got to be calling up ESPN saying, hey, people are watching the ACC. Yeah, we're not the SEC or the Big Ten, but we're getting viewers, or whatever they need to do. They need to keep working at it, or we'll be having a different conversation in 3 or 4 years. But
they
for the
bought
next couple
themselves
of
to
years,
2030. They bought themselves to 2030. Do not feel comfortable with anything after that, because these other two monsters don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Beyond 2030, I definitely don't feel confident until I hear something different. But for the next 2 or 3 years is the opportunity for the league to have everyone together and try to work on something. I mean, however you need to go to ESPN to improve that television deal or build revenue, and however way you think's possible, you got a couple of years now, because it's no one's going to leave right now. The lawsuits are over. I don't think the Big Ten or SEC is going to, there's so many things going on with their scheduling, 9 games and all this and the playoff, that I don't think they're going to disrupt themselves. They don't need, the Florida States and the Clemsons as badly as the other two want to get to those conferences. The Big Ten doesn't really need a Florida State. It might help them. Not saying might not. They'd probably be happy to have them, but they don't need them right now. They don't have to, disrupt what they're doing to try to get them. So I don't even think they'll approach them with saying, we want to have you join in 27 or anything. I think the year is 2030. And so it's Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioners. It's his job to try to sort something out here in the next few years that will increase that revenue for
I think college sports needs an ACC. It needs an Atlantic Coast Conference, even if Cal and Stanford are in it. but they need an ACC. And I think that it's you're right. There's a world where they can figure it out. And you have teams there, Miami and Virginia and North Carolina and Clemson, Florida State. There's something there, right? I hope they're aggressive and they try and do more. And I guess I'm fine with SMU being in the Atlantic Coast Conference, whatever they got to do, right? I'm not even making jokes. I think college sports needs the ACC. I think there's a place for it, and I hope it doesn't go away.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, because I think we've kind of seen what it looks like, when a conference that is part of the college athletics landscape is gone. I think it's not as good as when we had the Pac-12. I mean, having like a college athletics without a true West Coast conference, it doesn't feel right. I mean, you got James Franklin complaining about traveling to UCLA, but it's like, well, why is he having to do this? And I mean, and I haven't minded Cal and Stanford being in the ACC, but they need to be in a conference that's West Coast based. I mean, USC, Oregon, Washington, Cal, Stanford, the Arizona.
Come on, guys, we're playing NFL in Europe. I mean, come on, I mean, this isn't Bear Bryant, Woody.
Now there's a whole lot of black socks on this podcast right now. You know that I'm not the only one. Everybody on here would pine for those old days. I agree with. I'm a Big Ten guy, but I used to love it when I happened to be up late on a Saturday night, and there was some West Coast shootout, and they were always shootouts. It was great, when you're up that late seeing those, and it's something missing. I know how many socks I have that are black, all of them, and I miss that. I like that idea, and even the ACC to me. There was a time when a Virginia, North Carolina game or a Florida State Clemson game, those are big time ACC games, and they still can be. I just don't want to see it go away. Like I said, I truly don't care if you try and sell me on Cal Stanford as an ACC game. That's fine. That's right. Put it on at midnight. I'll still watch it. Right? Whatever you need to do, and I'll buy it's an ACC game. But I say we because I'm a Big Ten guy. I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love where we're at right now. I don't like that, Michigan State, although I hope we beat the brakes off UCLA. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I mean, if it all goes, away, I mean, life will go on and we'll find games to watch, but it's, certain regions of the country need to be regionalized. And I think that we've definitely lost, something with these super huge conferences, not playing each other more often. But we got a couple more years at least. It's going to be the way it is. So
we can enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, I'm only interested up until 2042. After that, I'm not worried about it. All right, Jeffrey. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
As always.
Take care, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always, and always enjoy it, fellas. You can find me at Talking ACC Sports. We just had ACC basketball tip-off. It's going on this week. That I think we all know what's going on with the football. We discussed it. Miami looks great. We got a couple other teams that can be good, but hopefully the ACC basketball can kind of get back and be more than just Duke right now. And I think a couple schools like NC State has a chance to be pretty strong this year. Louisville should be very good this year. I think, I wouldn't put it up there as a top conference this upcoming year by any stretch, but I do think you're going to be better than you have been the last couple of years. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. Thank you as always, and
Have a good night.
You back.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be talking a little basketball too. You
All
have a
right,
good
sounds
night.
good.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to kind of turn things around here. Dave, what was scores last week?
Oh, okay. We're jumping to the scores. Well,
what's how does stats read? I mean, I'll put it like that.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't give it to you. Reggie had 11, and he said, I think I'm getting feedback from your mic, Bill. Yeah, that does it. Yeah, thank you. Reggie said don't follow him, and he had 11 points, but right there with him with 12, Anthony and I. Mm-hmm. And Don had 13. James, you had 14, and that was out of I think 28. There were 28 picks, 14 games, 14 over and unders. And Demetrius and Bill, you had 15 for the week. So you guys did it. So now for the year, the percentages. In sixth place is myself on the caboose with 41.7%.
On the caboose. That's so great.
Demetrius, you're at 48.1%.
Not in last place.
Fifth place, but you're getting there. Anthony is right at 50%, and James, you are in a tie with Don with 50.6%.
Wow.
But Bill is smoking us. He's 56.5%.
Fair though, it's Bill, man. That's not fair. We shouldn't even let Bill in this competition. I don't feel like that's fair.
No, it's good that he's here because now we know who to follow if we're actually putting some money
I'm
down.
just put me down for all the Bill's picks. Exactly.
Right?
Oh, all right. Well, let's get to our picks, and then if we have some time, we'll do a couple other things. But let's get to the picks starting tomorrow night. We have the Phillies. Excuse me. They look like the Phillies, but we have the Eagles coming off a loss, playing against the Giants, also coming off a loss. We have. The Eagles are -7, and the over/under is 41.5, Dave.
Okay, I'm going to say that Philly makes a comeback, and I'm going to take Philly in the over in that game.
Okay, and Denver is giving 7.5 to the Not Yets. And the over/under is 43.5. Go 2 at a time. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Jets have such a bad record, and I keep on thinking that they're going to do it. And I'm going to say the Jets in the under. I'm going to say that they cover the points. And Don already responded. Do you want to hear Don's picks? Don took Philly in the over, and he took Denver in the under.
Yeah, he sent his by phone here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, all right. Bill.
Okay. The over/under on Philly was at 40 what?
1.5.
41.5. Yeah, I'll take Philly in the over. And then the Denver game, the over/under was
43.5.
I'll take Denver in the over.
Demetrius.
I'm gonna follow Don because he's in first place. I think it was Eagles in the over and Denver in the under, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to take the Eagles in the over and Denver in the over. So the next one that would still be on you, Demetrius. The Cardinals getting 6.5.
Yeah.
Playing the Colts. The over/under is 47.5.
Do we believe the Colts are real yet? Are you guys buying into this? Because I'm not. I'm going to take the Cardinals, not to win outright, but with 6.5. I have not bought the Colts yet. You guys didn't ask for the explanation, but I gave it anyway. I'm going to take the Cardinals in the under. And I guess Dallas is okay. So I'm going to take Dallas.
Dallas is actually giving 3.
Well, I know. Yeah. And that game's in Carolina. So this is tough for me too, but I'm not in last place. So I can. Sorry, Dave, that was a joke. I'm going to take Dallas. I'm going to take Dallas anyway, and I'm going to go under.
Okay. Bill, you talking about the Cards against the Colts? Cardinals getting 6.5.
And the over/under was at
47.5.
Oh, that's probably right about the number too. Yeah, that's tough. Oh, that's probably about right. I'll take the Colts, and I don't like the over, but I'm going to take it anyway because I think they get right about to that number. And then the over-under on the second game was at
49 and a half.
Oof. Okay. I will take the under. And who's the home team?
Carolina.
Yeah, Dallas is that game.
And 6.5 was the spread, right?
Yes.
3.5.
No. 3.5. Dallas.
3.5. Oh, okay. Then I'll take
Carolina,
Dallas. Okay, I'll take Dallas then. I think Dallas gets 4 points. So yeah, I'll take Dallas.
I love it when he calls perfect scores. It's Dallas by 4.
I'm going to take Dallas, and I'm also going to take the Colts. I'm going to take Dallas in the under, and I'm going to take the Colts in the under.
Okay.
Dave.
Yeah, I'll take Arizona in the under because, man, what a lot. We'll be talking about it in a minute, but what a game. Arizona in the under. And I'll take Dallas in the over. And Don took Indiana in the under and Dallas in the over.
Okay. We might as well get Don for the Chargers, getting 4.5, and the Steelers.
Yeah, there you go.
37 and a half. Wow. Okay.
Oh my God, that's borderline insulting.
Yeah. I mean, but it is Cleveland, and it is
that's true.
Gabriel, and I don't. Well, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that too.
So Don took Pittsburgh in the under, and he took the Chargers in the over.
Okay, the Chargers are playing the Dolphins. The Chargers, and that was 44.5. So go ahead, Dave.
Okay, and I'm taking Cleveland in the under. I'm thinking it's going to be by a field goal this game. And I'm taking the Chargers in the over.
Okay, I'm going to take ooh, wow, this is ugly. I'm going to take the Steelers and the under. I'm also going to take the Chargers. I don't know. I'm going to take the under in that game too. Go ahead, Bill.
Let's see. So, I will take Steelers in the under as well. And then it was
the Chargers are giving Miami 4.5, and the over-under is 44.5.
I'll take the Chargers in the over.
Demetrius.
Everybody took the under on a 37.5 line. Why is my head saying, all right, I'm going to be different. I'm taking the Steelers in the over. That is a low number, guys. It's a really low number, but okay.
It's a disturbingly low number, yes.
I got to make up ground somewhere. Here's an opportunity for me to pick up one, right? And I will go with everybody else and take the Chargers in the over.
Okay. Then staying with you, Demetrius, we're going to go the Rams. They're giving
yeah.
The Ratbirds 4.5. And the over-under is 44.5.
I will take the Rams.
And supposedly, Lamar is back. He's listed as questionable, not out.
Huh. And that's 3? Why do they randomly not give a hook on one game every week?
3.5.
Mine is 4.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong game. I was looking at the Bucks Niners. Sorry. I'm taking the Rams and the over. With or without Lamar, I think the Rams are better.
Okay. And then we had the 49ers. That's just a plain 3.
I don't get that, by the way. What's the point? I'm going to take Tampa. That game's in
Great
Tampa.
for the push.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going Tampa, but I'm going to go under. I think that's going to be a low story.
Okay. Dave.
I'm taking Baltimore in the over. They got to win that game, and it's in Baltimore. It's a must win for these guys. And then I'm going to take Tampa Bay in the under.
Okay. I'm going to take the Rams and the over, and I'm going to take the Bucks and the over. No, I'm going to take the Bucks in the under.
Yeah, you are.
I think Purcell is out and Jennings is listed as questionable. I don't know. They still have Christian though. Go ahead, Bill.
And so the over-under on the Baltimore game was how many points again?
44.5.
I'll take Baltimore in the over. I think Baltimore's defense actually gets a touchdown towards the end to put it over and to give Baltimore the win. And then the Odafe strip sack scooped up and scored by Mr. Wiggins. But and then the other game was
the Rams getting 3 playing the Bucks.
49.
The Rams are playing the Bucks. I thought the
49.
Rams were playing the
49ers. Sorry, 49.
49ers and Bucks. I will take the Buccaneers, and the over-under was
47.
47
and a half.
And a half. Okay. It's probably just about right again. I'll go over, but just barely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take the Bucks in the over.
And Don took the under in that, Tampa Bay in the under, and he took Rams in the over.
Okay. Bill, we have the Seahawks getting 1.5 playing the Jaguars, and the over-under is 46.5.
Yeah. I think the Jaguars probably win that game outright, and they're a better team than I thought they'd be. Shout out to James Gladstone. Talk about hot young GMs, and I'm not talking about how he looks, but how he's been putting that team together. He's one of the better young, and I know Mr. Scott isn't here to rail against like analytics and whatever, but they had an old school guy in Trent Baalke who was like, that guy looks like a football player, and then they get rid of him and go in the opposite direction entirely, and it's worked with Gladstone. But I'll take the Jaguars, and the over-under was
46.5.
46.5.
God, they're good. I'll take the under. And then the other game, the over-under was?
No, the other game is the Titans, and they're getting 4.5 from the Raiders, and the over-under is 41.5.
I'll take the Raiders. I think they cover that comfortably. The Raiders have sort of a get-right-ish game, and I'll take the over.
All right. I'm going to take the Jags and the under, and I'll take the Titans. The Raiders and the under. Go ahead, Demetrius.
I'm going to, for the record, James Gladstone is a nice-looking man. Cleans up well. I'm going to take Jacksonville and the over, and I will take the Raiders. Also, get right. I'm going to take the over on that one as well.
Okay. Staying with you, Demetrius. We have the Bungles. They're getting 14.5.
Jeez.
They're playing the Packers, and the over-under is 44.5.
In the spirit of utterly ridiculous numbers, I'm taking any team and 2 touchdowns in the National Football League. So I saw the Bungles last week. They are not that bad. I mean, they kept playing us. I mean, we were clearly better, but they kept playing. So I'm taking the Bengals, and I'm going to go with the under on that. And then we got
The
Patriots
Patriots.
minus 3.5 at the Aints. I love that so much. Oh, this is just a shit show. I am going to go.
45 and a half, right? Yeah.
I don't even. Bill, can you pick this game for me? I have no idea. Is that allowed? Can I let Bill make?
I don't know.
Hey,
what are the rules?
You can follow that cab. I mean,
whatever Bill picks, put me down for whatever Bill. I have no concept of what that game should be. Either team or the over under. I'm just admitting it up front. I'm done. I can do
I'm going to take the Patriots and the under, and I'm going to take. I'm kind of
a crazy number. What?
I know 14 and a half. I mean, even the Bungles. I mean, but I'm going to take the Packers, and I'm going to take the Packers and the under. I think it's going to be 44-0. But go ahead, Bill.
I don't believe it'll be 44-0. Shout out to Andre Yoshivas, who I think gets a long touchdown in this game. Watch out for Mr. Yoshivas. But I think that
Joe Flacco throw it that far?
You won't need to.
Well, first of all, one thing that Flacco can still do is sling it. Like he may not be able to get out of the way of
that's your quarterback, right?
A glacier at this point, but throwing them.
He's still got Jamar Chase. He's still got T. Higgins.
Right.
There's players on that team.
Brett Favre can still throw football 60+ yards, no problem. Like that's the thing that's not the thing that goes, right? It's not your arm that's the issue. He can throw the ball probably as well as he ever could. It's the other stuff. It's the getting up in the morning after the games and stuff that probably gets him in trouble. But I think the Bengals are going to actually have a pretty solid performance. I don't think they get beaten by anything close to 14.5 points. More like 11-ish, 10 maybe. But I think I'm gonna take the over. I think this is actually a bit of a shootout. Actually,
all right.
So I'll take the Bengals in the over. And the other game was
the Patriots and the Saints.
Okay. So this will be a fun game. Actually, I'm going to actually watch this game with great interest. I do think the Patriots win this game, but I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. Watch out for special teams. Watch out for somebody to get a big return or a block tick or something to kind of turn this towards the end. But I do think the Patriots win. The over-under on this one was 44.5?
45.5.
Oh, 45. Oof. Okay. 5.5.
See, I told you. Told you guys.
But it was 44.5. I was exactly sure what I was going to say, but it's 45.5.
Smartest guy in the room is struggling. That's why I didn't pick it. But whatever he says, I'm going.
Still going to go over. I think there's some late game heroics by Mr. Keishon Butte with a little toe drag swag to give him that last touchdown.
Toe drag swag. Put me down for the same thing, by the way, on that game.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
Oh, I had the Patriots in the over.
Patriots in the over. Yep.
You and Don, Dave.
Okay, I'm taking Cincinnati in the over, and Don took Green Bay in the over. And I'll take the Saints in the under, and Don took the Patriots in the under. So I'm the only one that picked New Orleans to win that game.
Okay.
But right. Derek Maye is looking like the real deal. He's really, really looking much better.
Yeah, well, he looked pretty good last year, considering he had the worst roster in football around him.
Yeah. I mean, can he depend on Stephon Diggs every game? I think that was kind of a thumb in your face from Stephon Diggs.
Oh, well, that was the revenge game, obviously. But
yeah, considering it was Buffalo that traded him.
The maddeningly inconsistent and very immature Mr. Butte has very much benefited from the presence of Mr. Diggs, and he's also looked much better this year. Watch out for Mr. Butte to have a strong. If you're a fantasy person and you get stuck because of injury or a bye week, if Keishon Butte's rattling around available, he might be a good pickup.
All right, well, Dave, it's close to that time, so I'm going to let you start this one. Bill, are you leaving with Dave? And well, it's only
probably just a little bit after Dave.
Okay. So Dave, I'll give you these three, and you and Don can both represent, and then you can give the final word here. So the Lions are getting 1.5 playing the Chiefs, and the over-under is 50.5.
Yeah. Kansas City, man, they are just surprising me. I'm going to take Detroit, but both teams can score, so I'm taking Detroit in the over.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm follow you. You can follow that cab with me. I'm like Demetrius here. You can follow that cab. And we got a doubleheader Monday night, Dave. We have the Bills giving the Falcons 4.5, and the over/under is 48.5.
Yeah, one of the unbeaten teams that's not unbeaten anymore, and I think that they have to redeem themselves, as does Josh Allen. So I'm going to take Buffalo in the over.
Okay, and we have the Bears getting 4.5, and they're playing the Commanders, and once again, 50.5.
Yeah, I mean, Washington went out to Los Angeles, took care of business. I'm going to take Washington in the under. And for Don, he did not make a pick on the Detroit-Kansas City game for some reason.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I can tell you what it is. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it?
No, I'm kidding. That's my joke. You should have taken the Lions, is what I'm saying. But no, I don't.
Oh, I didn't see a pick from him on that game.
Okay.
But then he took Atlanta in the over, and then he took Washington in the under.
All right. Put me down for all your picks. Follow all your picks for me, because I agree with you 100%. The line's easy. I just same as Dave.
Yeah, that's dangerous. I'm the caboose.
Well, I know, but I just happen to agree. Well, I'm right there with you. I'm like a game ahead of you. I'm trying to stay out of last place. I'll just stay.
I really would like to know what Don's picks were in that Chiefs game, because I know he likes both guys. But okay, so Dave, your picks now, or did you?
I took Buffalo in the over and Washington in the under.
Okay, you want to give us your final thoughts, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's stick around for a few minutes, but it's pretty close to that time.
Well, why don't we finish getting Bill in your picks in?
Okay. Well, you can give me the Lions and the over. You can give me the Bills and the over, and the Bears and Commanders. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Commanders. Was it Bill?
Yeah, Bill.
Okay, I'll take the Lions, the under, and then what was the over/under on the Washington and Chicago game?
50.5, just like the Lions game.
Same score again. I will take, and the Bears are getting how many?
4.5.
I'll take the Bears and the under. I think they lose, but I think they lose by 3.
Okay, and the Bills and the Falcons.
Get right game for the Bills. I think they bounce back, and the over/under on that game is
48.5.
And they're playing in Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
I will take the Bills and the under.
All right.
So three unders that you finished with. So my final thoughts. My final thoughts.
Unless you want to talk about any of these games, the Texans beating the Ratbirds, if you want to talk about any of those, you can talk about those in your final thoughts also.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was going to talk about the AFC North in my final thoughts, but the Tennessee-Arizona game what a turnaround. I mean, here's a guy running in for a touchdown, 72 yards in the fourth quarter that would put Arizona up 28-3.
Yeah.
I mean, they had complete control of the game, and he held the ball loose. It was knocked out, touchback instead of a touchdown, and then Tennessee came back and took care of business in the fourth quarter. And won the game. So to me, that was a tremendous game. And one, it showed don't take anything for granted. I mean, these guys start to showboat. They start to look up, not this particular player, but, people start to look up, watching themselves running down the field up at the screen. Secure the ball, finish your business, and then go into the antics. But that was a tremendous game. So that was my comment on that. I mean, I think for the Titans, maybe this will be a spark that gets them going, but they're going to have to show more. I mean, it was just a collapse by Arizona. But for my final thoughts, I was going to talk about the AFC North. I mean, here was a division at the beginning of the season that some people were comparing to the NFC North as being, if not the best division in the NFL, maybe the best division in the AFC. And now all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. Cincinnati loses Joe Burrow. Cleveland is all of a sudden they had a stockpile of quarterbacks, and all of a sudden they trade Pickett. They trade Flacco. The coach is like, well, I mean, we just found out about. He sounded surprised that he didn't have Flacco, and he didn't commit to Shedeur Sanders as his backup.
Not even number two. Nope.
And so now all of a sudden you go from a division where you thought, well, hey, there was three definite teams that had a shot at winning the division. You had a team like Cleveland that has a great defense that could upset people and have upset other teams. And now it's like, how many of these teams are going to have losing records this year? And so it's just with the NFL, just in a matter of 10 days, the way things can change. With Pittsburgh, right now, they're in the driver's seat. All three of their rivals lost during their bye week in week 5. But, I mean, Cleveland could easily beat Pittsburgh because one of the problems, the way Pittsburgh beat Minnesota was with their jumbo package. And they went with their heavies. The problem is that plays right into Cleveland's strength because Cleveland uses a 10-player rotation on the line. They got 10 defensive linemen that they rotate in and out of the games. If Pittsburgh, this is going to be a real test of Arthur Smith because if they go in trying to run the jumbo package, I go back to Super Bowl 9 where Minnesota didn't adjust. They tried to play their game and ran right into Pittsburgh's strength. And if Pittsburgh goes out there with their jumbo package, they're going to be running right into Cleveland's strength, and they run the risk of being upset. So in Dylan Gabriel, he's had a promising debut, and so I think. Where this game may turn around is can they rattle the young quarterback, or is he going to stay composed the way he did in Minnesota? So that's my final thought. Just the way a couple weeks ago AFC North was looking pretty like they were going to be pretty strong, and now we're approaching week 6, and this could be an also ran division.
Yeah. Might be only the division champ gets in. Could be one of those, Yeah. But I'm looking at the Browns depth chart here, and they have Gilliard, Saunders, and Deshaun Watson. So how can Sanders not be numbered the backup when he's the only quarterback left?
That's just what the coach said. You're on
I
mute.
know it. That's why I looked at the depth chart to see who was listed ahead of him, and they only had two healthy quarterbacks left.
Right, but they probably would elevate Bailey Zappi from their practice squad.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Bailey Zappi is going to be your backup. Dylan Gabriel start. Zappi will probably be number 2.
Oh.
Yeah, and actually that kind of makes sense. I mean, because Zappi, he has some experience.
Exactly. I don't get the whole Shedeur thing myself, because I don't believe that NFL coaches have a history of not playing the better players. That's not what I've seen. The bad coaches do that. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting. And just so you guys know, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be on the next couple shows. I'm going to be traveling to Spain.
Okay.
And so probably for the rest of October, I might be out. But what I'll do is I'll monitor the feeds to get the scores, and I'll send my predictions into you guys.
This guy's going to take my World Traveler title. Apparently,
that's what I was getting ready to say.
I think we're going to call I think we're going to call Dave the World Traveler from now on.
I think Ireland, Germany, and Spain all this year.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, man.
All right, Dave.
All right. And many thanks, guys. And I really appreciate you making adjustments. I just
for sure.
It really helps me out. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bill, let's talk about some of those upsets, man. The Texans knocking off the Chargers, isn't it? Yeah. Bills falling to the Broncos, was it? No, that was the Eagles.
Patriots.
The Eagles fell to the Broncos.
Yeah.
And and
Patriots
Buffalo
got the Bills. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your take here, Bill?
Well, there were some borderline calls in the, particularly in the Phillies game. Now he's got me there. The Eagles game. In the Eagles game, and Philadelphia missed some opportunities for big plays that could have helped to put that game away. But it happens, right? You're not going to win all 17 games. But I don't feel like they're in any sort of distress, really. That was a mostly well-played game. Like I said, there was some borderline calls, they didn't get, things like that would have flipped, probably the outcome of the game. But they were playing pretty evenly. Like the fact that one or two calls would have made that big a difference, that that's a good football team. The Denver Broncos are a good football team. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be right there, So they're not going anyplace. And then the Chargers are the Chargers. They're going to beat good teams and lose to mediocre teams. And watch, this is going to be a pattern all season long. This is not going to be a one-off. That's who they are as a team. They'll still go 11-6 or something like that. They'll still make the playoffs. They're a very talented team. And if they're able to mature as a team, they have certainly some veteran presences. I mean, obviously the most obvious one is Keenan Allen, who is, on the back three of his back nine probably of his career, but still can get it done. They are clearly missing some pieces on their offensive line, most notably maybe the second best young left tackle behind Tristan Wirfs in the whole league. And that's made a difference in what they do both in the pass and the run game. What's helped them is the development of one Quentin Johnston, who, as a big Quentin Johnston person coming out of TCU, I kind of got clowned on. But now he's sort of turned it around, so I feel pretty good about that. And then Omarion Hampton is becoming one of the better young running backs in the league. But they're going to lose some inexplicable games. That's just the kind of team they are. So just get used to that.
Well, now you have Hampton out and Najee Harris, right?
Well, I'm glad you threw Najee Harris's name in there just for fun. He was on his way to being a supporter of the team more than a player. I think that was already sort of in the books. It just sped up the process. They are going to have to do some slightly different things, but they're still going to run the football, right? I mean, if they're doing it with Haskins, who of course played for Harbaugh at Michigan, whoever it is, they're going to find some guy who's 220 something pounds and run the ball downhill. Mark my words.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if they have to literally go out in the streets and find a 200 something pound black man and say, "Would you like to play some football?" They're going to run the football, whoever that guy is.
Yep.
I promise you. Like that's book that. They're going to run the ball. And they do have an extremely talented roster. Still, I mean, they have some holes, but that's a talented roster still. Deion Henley is one of the best young linebackers in the league. They've got at least one true difference maker at every level of their defense, though they could use probably one or two more. And like I said, they've been bitten by the injury bug a little bit on the offensive line, and as you mentioned, the running back position, but they can still get it done. They're just going to lose, like I said, some head-scratching games. You're going to lose a couple of head-scratchers. I was going to beat good teams because, like I said, that's the kind of team they are.
Okay. All right. You got let's see, the Bears. Green Bay is getting back on track after their loss. What are you thinking about the NFC North? Demetrius, Dave gave his criticism of the AFC.
You know what I think. I think we're the best team in the division, number one, right?
Well, other
than the obvious, I think that everybody has a hole, right? I think that Green Bay traded Kenny Clark after losing TJ Slayton to Cincinnati in free agency in the offseason, and quiet as it's kept, I feel like they're vulnerable in the middle of their defense, right? And I think if you watch film, it would support it. That you can run the ball, and if you can run the ball and control the clock, you can keep Love off the field. That's the way you compete with that team. They have talent in every area. I'm not somebody who loves him, no pun intended. I think he does a lot of undisciplined stuff, throwing off the wrong foot and all this nonsense stuff that once or twice a game, he's going to give you an opportunity. He's going to give you one. That's what he does. If you capitalize on it, you can beat them. The Bears just don't have the requisite talent yet, right? They brought in some interior offensive linemen. It's a little bit better. But here's the thing. Here's my simple Bear, because I know who the Bears coach is. I know him very well. That offense, which is not a Ben Johnson offense, it was Dan Campbell's offense that Ben Johnson had the luxury of calling. But that offense relies on timing. And the difference between Caleb Williams and Jared Goff is simple. Most of you guys are going to say, "Oh, give me Caleb." What Jared Goff is great at, and I'm not trying to talk about the Lions. I'm telling you about Ben Johnson's offense. It relies on timing. Yeah. You have to be very, very disciplined pre-snap. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to know who the mic is, and you have to know what the safety's doing. And then you have to stay disciplined to what it's there. And Jared Goff was great at it. Caleb is progression 1, progression 2, I'm running. That is not how Ben Johnson's offense succeeds. Jared Goff is 1, 2, 3 is often the guy. And when you have St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, J-Mo, you can get to 4 sometimes before you check down, right? But if you don't develop that discipline, and you can't get that discipline when your offensive line isn't good enough to give you the time to stay disciplined in that. Minnesota, I think we don't know what their quarterback situation is. We know who's playing now, and he is what he is. I'm not mad at him. Carson, it's Carson Wentz, right?
Yeah. And he actually
he is. Yeah. Am I worried about him preventing the Lions from winning the North? Nope. Sorry. There's no disrespect. I'm just not. We didn't know what the kid was. And if he comes back and he's better than we thought, and he might be, fine. Minnesota's, and this is not a shot at Mr. Scott, wherever you are, Anthony Scott, we missed you, bro. I'm not worried about the Vikings. We're better. We're more talented. We're better than them. They're well coached, but we have more talent. The Bears are at least a year away, a year with a great offseason, draft and free agency to compete with us. And Green Bay is still the threat. Green Bay beat us. But to me, my feeling on the North is the Lions play the same team every week, the Detroit Lions. They play to their capability. Nobody in the North's beat them. Nobody in the North's beat them. And right now, they haven't even played an A+ game yet. They've been playing B- B plus, A minus games when they really and health is the concern. So it's ours to win. Good luck catching us. I still see 12 wins on our schedule. I don't think anybody else in our division is going to win 12 games. I think Green Bay will be there in the wild card area. I think Minnesota's got health concerns. I don't know what they're going to be, and the Bears are not there yet. The Bears are an 8-9 win team that needs a little more talent. That's my thoughts on the North.
Final subject here, gentlemen. Are the Jaguars for real?
Ooh, good one. I'll let Bill go first.
For real is interesting.
Right, because I don't know what for real means exactly. That's why I'm giving it to you.
If you're asking me, can they win the AFC South, then I say yes, if that's your definition of for real. If you're asking if they can maybe even win a playoff game, I'll go 50-50. I'll push. If you mean win a Super Bowl, no.
No. I didn't
They
say
go to Buffalo, New York in early February. The answer is no. That's why
I didn't say surreal, Bill. I just said real.
No, they're good, entertaining to watch. They got talent. Apparently, they got good coaching. The bottom line over there is, can you go win in might be in Orchard Park, actually. Orchard Park, New York, in late January, early February, or maybe Denver, Colorado at this point. I don't know. Can you go? Because that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to go win a game, probably in snow, in Denver, in Buffalo, possibly in Kansas City, Baltimore. It's going to be cold as hell in all those places. Can you run the football effectively enough? Because that's what you're going to have to do to beat Buffalo. Keep Josh Allen on the sideline. Time of possession, you got to run the ball well. Kansas City, you got to put pressure on 15. Denver is quietly, man. It might not be quiet anymore. I really like Denver, guys. I really like Denver. So are they for real? Are they for real enough to win? I'm with Bill. They're for real enough to win the South. Can they go win in Buffalo, Denver, or Kansas City in late January? I do not think so.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, did we get everybody? Bill, you final thoughts here?
Sure. So on this day in 1953, Jackie Roosevelt Robinson took a contingent of all-stars, a mixed race contingent of all-stars to Birmingham, Alabama, to attempt to play a series of exhibition games. And not surprisingly, Bull Connor, you probably know that name, objected to such an endeavor. And so there were meetings held, right? That's what happens when these happen. So Jackie Robinson's Negro All-Stars, but they were not all Negro. He had people like Al Rosen and Gil Hodges also on his team.
Nice.
And they were going to play the Black Biloxi Tigers on this day in October of 1953. So Bull O'Connor, once again, police commissioner, invoked the city ordinance that made it illegal to play any mixed race or engage in mixed race athletics. There was then a meeting with Birmingham community members considering the potential fallout of a cancellation. Robinson eventually decided simply to drop the white players from his roster and still go on with the game. They proceeded with the exhibition featuring only the black players on his team. The decision was controversial. The NAACP and others wanted him to force the issue, force them to force a cancellation. The Birmingham World, the black newspaper, criticized him as well, saying that he'd given in to bigotry. It was a moment, once again, when the segregation laws of the Deep South prevented Jackie Robinson from integrating something, a story of his life. But it is also a microcosm, right, of so many things in America, because people know a lot about Jackie Robinson, not as much as they should know. There's still so much more to know about this very fascinating man. But this is something that literally happens less than a year before the Montgomery bus boycott, or just a little over a year before a year and a half roughly before the Montgomery bus boycott, and less than a year before Brown versus Board of Education is handed down in Topeka, Board of Education Topeka versus Brown in 1954. So it is one of those semi-catalytic events, I guess you could say, of the second phase, what I call the second phase of civil rights movement. I feel like that period beginning with the end of World War I and going up into the end of World War II was really phase one, right? You had the Harlem Renaissance take place. You had this emergence of young, and they wouldn't have used the term angry to describe themselves, but they were certainly a kind of race pride that people were less willing to own up to prior to that time. And frankly, it wasn't safe to own up to prior to that time. And even in their time, it wasn't safe to own up to, quite frankly. But County Cullen and all those people that came out of the Harlem Renaissance, and W.B. Du Bois and others. And then World War I gave us the Harlem Hellfighters, some others that things to point to. And then you had the Bloody Summer, the Red Summer of 1919, that kind of dumped cold water on all of that. And it took World War II to kind of fan the flames back up a little bit. And then, obviously, a World War II veteran, Jackie Robinson, or era veteran. He didn't get a chance to serve overseas due to an incident that some of you are already familiar with. They kept him from serving with the what they call Patton's Panthers, with that tank unit he was supposed to be a commander in. But comes full circle to some extent as he comes back to the United States, goes into professional sports, semi-pro football, and then eventually pro baseball. But there in Alabama, once again, he's facing off with his implacable foe of segregation, and once again embodied in the perfect embodiment in Bull Connor, who, I mean, it's a name that people know hopefully for the right reasons. I mean, whatever reason. I mean, I guess infamy. But I don't think people understand just the depths of Bull Connor as truly like the living embodiment of the spirit of segregation. And these two giants meet. And once again, you know, Jackie did what he thought was the best for all people concerned, but it definitely felt like a loss, right? The people on the ground essentially said as much. The NAACP, like I said, and even the local newspaper took him to task, and he was taken to task many more times by people in the Black Panther Party and others towards the end of his life. And Jackie always wanted to do it the Jackie Robinson way. And it's funny that this, like I said, this comes full circle to some extent, because I don't know, we don't always take this too far down or whatever, but we are back in this place where we're expected to prove ourselves again, you know, all these many years into the American experiment. And Americanism and being an American is a very complicated thing to do when you're Black. And Jackie Robinson tried his best. He tried his hardest to do it. Like literally from the moment he was nascent, you know, from the moment he, you know, came of age as a young man, before he's a man, even as a teenager, even he's grappling with this. And literally till the day he dies, he grapples with it. But it was on this day, once again, 1953, that Jackie made the, whatever you feel about his decision, to go on with the exhibition, but to not play either Al Rosen, Gil Hodgley, or the other white players that were on his team.
You want to follow that, Demetrius?
Yeah. And I think that was well done. Excellent. I love those things. I need a little time to do two. One is quick and self-serving, and the other one is going to kind of follow it on the path of Bill and something I didn't get to say last night that I needed to say. The first one is that there are some people, I don't know who they are, where they live. They probably work for Fox or Major League Baseball. They know that right now, if the Tigers win on Friday, game one of the American League Championship Series is Sunday. They also know, because the schedule's out, the Lions play the Chiefs Sunday night. Do not do that to us. You can make that game a 4:00 game. That does not, if Scooble does what I think Scooble's going to do, and we're playing in the American League Championship Series, and you schedule that game against the Lions Chiefs, somebody's getting a harshly worded letter. That's my self-serving thing. Fox and Major League Baseball can say, hey, let's do the city of Detroit and their fans a solid and schedule game one at 4:00. They can do that. It's easy. They're not going to, probably. Now, that's self-serving. The second one is a wonderful conversation last night. But I want to talk about two terms, right? The first one is perception. At its core, it's the way individuals and institutions interpret and process information. That's my own sort of personal definition of what perception is. The other one is called implicit bias, right? It influences judgment and decisions, and it's often subtle and subconscious. Right? So Kyron Lacey, I don't know enough. I'm saying that up front. My disclaimer is there are videos, plural. There are people's perceptions that I am certain are based on the fact that he's black, that I am certain are based on the fact that he's black. And it would be different if he were not black. What I do know for a fact is when it happened, there was a way people's perceptions were shaped. Implicit bias immediately creeped in, and the way people responded to it. I don't know if he was in the opposite lane. I don't know if his car made contact. And if you don't know, I won't do the whole thing. It's late. I think Bill's got to go. Look it up. It's all over. You can't miss it, right? I don't understand. And there are other layers, right? But there's lives lost in this. And so I'm trying to be very careful. But there is perception and implicit bias in this case. It is the dictionary definition of those two things. I will say to you without any reservation, if he were white, he would not have been treated the same way. There are people
who are you talking about right now?
Kyron Lacey. Yeah. A former college football player at LSU. There was an accident, and he unfortunately took his own life in April because of the perception of him and how he was treated after that situation. I said, very first thing, I don't know. I am comfortable saying the words, I don't know. I don't have enough information. I didn't jump to conclusions. I didn't jump on Twitter and start posting things and calling this man out of his name and framing up using implicit bias, the perception of who this kid was. You know why? Because I didn't have enough information. And we joke, James, you and I joke, kind of joke. I need data. I need facts. I can't form my opinion without facts and data. You call me the statistician on the other podcast, right? And I take it as a fucking compliment, not an insult. I love it that you do that. And when you ask me questions, you will often say, from a data standpoint, frame this up with stats. I love that, right? The opinion forming process in our country right now is so shaded with implicit bias. People don't even understand it's subconscious. And if you go back and just look at this, take some time and look at how, and I don't want to say they treated this kid because there's a nebulous day and I don't like that. Social media is this organism that I don't truly understand all the time. I believe I have a little information on a particular cop that went out of his way to make sure that Lacey was implicated in this in some way, shape, or form. It looks orchestrated. And last night we talked about systemic racism and it orchestrated treatment as a legacy of slavery, right? And this particular case to me in 2025 is a really good representation of how, using all the mechanisms we have now, social media, mainstream media, the four-letter and others, podcasters, all these different things. None of us had all the facts. And by the way, some of those facts were manipulated on purpose by the criminal justice system, specifically to frame a perception of this kid. I don't know him. I don't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know what happened that day in the car. I'm not even talking about any of that. I'm talking about after that happened, whatever happened. There was an orchestrated effort by maybe just one police officer or a group of people framing the perception. I'm talking about perception and implicit bias, the perception of this kid. And I don't know why that's still happening. I don't know why it happened in this case. I don't know why we're so comfortable with it, why it was so easy for people to drag this kid on social with this much information. I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing that. I need data. I need facts. I need surveillance videos. I need timestamps, right? Before I'm going to form my opinion, an opinion that I'm going to say on a podcast that I'm going to post. I don't know how we do that. I'm not saying it's the reason the kid chose to end his life. You don't know. Yes, I am. I am saying exactly that. I am saying that this implicit bias and the perception that was painted of this kid almost certainly led to him ending his life. I don't know what would have happened if he would have been treated fairly. I don't know what would have happened if the investigation would have been handled correctly without any interference from law enforcement. I don't know what he did or didn't do. I'm not even talking about that. Perception and implicit bias is massively important, and it's still relevant today, and it still happens today, and it happens to people of color in a negative way at a significantly higher rate than not people of color. So, we lost the host. That's awesome. So I guess me and Bill will finish the podcast. Those are basically my final thoughts. Is this is still something that permeates our society. It resonates, and it is important to still talk about and remember. And if you don't know about Lacey's, just look it up and form your opinion on information and data rather than implicit bias and the perception because the police said this or they said the video said that. Do your diligence, do your homework. That's my final thoughts. You're on mute, bro. You're on mute. So, yep. I don't know if we're gonna get him back, but you can go off mute and we can finish this. Oh, there he is. There he is. We got him back. So yeah, I just finished it up and sort of toss it over to Bill.
Beautifully well put. I was going to say that people were framing it as sort of another Henry Ruggs kind of situation,
exactly,
without, as you said, without any of the actual information any of the actual unmanipulated information. That's probably how I should put it. Being exposed to the public, and only now we're beginning to see, things like body camera and other things that may indicate, as you just said, whether it was a ad hoc, on the spot, rogue activity, or was there more to it? And that it'll take some time to come out, but it is not a surprise to those of us of certainly of a certain age, at least, that this kind of thing has gone on. And it probably wasn't the first time this particular officer did something like this. I mean, my guess is you don't try something like that out unless you have some feeling you might get away with it.
Exactly. That's the scary part. That's the scary part. You don't, the first time you do it, it was so easy. And the information I have, it was so cavalier. It was brazen. It was brazen.
Well, first of all, guys, I know that, we, and there's a reason why we are talking about it. But I do have another podcast where we can discuss that further.
This had a tie to sports, though. So, and I didn't get to say it last night. So I thought I'd just drop it.
No, I mean, as we said, whether it be sports, it could be, academics, it's still systemic.
Absolutely.
The
irony is Bill just told the story of Jackie and Bull Connor. And that was in 1953.
But
we just told the same story.
But it also goes back to what another thing, and I hate to keep referring to it, but as I said last night, there's no way that you don't see color.
Right.
I mean, it's explicit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds good, but then again, it also sounds very condescending. So,
and that's the thing about implicit bias. It's often subtle and subconscious, and they don't even. This guy just is doing what he's done. He's acting the way he's acting. He doesn't realize his judgment and his decision making is impaired by this bias that sits within him.
But he's reading from a Bull Connor playbook.
Exactly, right? That's very well put. Bull Connor probably wrote the book, or at least
it might be 2025,
right?
But he's still reading from the book of 1953.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
and that is it's just a perception thing. It's unfortunate. That one, I got to be honest. That one disturbed me. That whole situation disturbed me. The loss of life is the chief reason. The life that was lost in the accident, and then this young man felt that it was so much that he he chose to take his own life. That's unfortunate.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys for sticking around. Appreciate it, and I'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Yep.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
All right.